Welcome to Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast, your weekly dose of many discussions and opinions, a show where we get comfortable being uncomfortable. And remember, no topic is off limits. Now let's talk about it.
Yo,
Right in. So
right?
let's just go for it.
So got this new job and we have this 4 week check-in, right? So now this 4 week check-in, I think everything's going good. Mind you, there was like some little things in that 4 weeks that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I just said, okay, you're the new girl. You're gonna have to get used to some new shit. All right.
Mhm.
So we're in learning mode, okay? We're in learning mode. So I thought everything was good. After about 30 minutes of nice talking and stuff, she's gonna hit me with, I reported you to your employer for your few minutes late a couple days. I was like, Miss, I'm now getting used to the traffic again. There was a backup one. We're talking about 3 days. I was 7 minutes late. So we're talking
Okay.
about 21 minutes for 3 days in 4 weeks. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm the new girl. No knowledge of this attendance policy or nothing. And she comes off real rough or whatever. And then she says something to me and along the line of, you're a little bit high strung. And I'm like, say what?
What does that
I
mean?
I put
I
myself
mean,
I put myself in a position where I knew my superior was going to be a woman, and I thought this was going to be the one time that it was not going to be, oh, we're not going to let the woman below me grow. We're going to bring her up with me. We're colleagues, okay? I'm there to help her do something that she doesn't know how to do. That is why they
mm,
hired me. Why are you picking on me for 21 minutes? Why didn't you give me a nice courtesy and say, Shivanna, you're coming in late every day or you're making a habit of this. Let's not do this. Something courtesy. Why call up my employer and report me and request to take sick time for like, are you serious? Like, I felt like that was a valid attack at me personally. Girl, I went back to my desk. I packed up all my shit and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get comfy here. I'm going to let
mm,
these people know that at any given day, may not show up the next day.
mm, mm.
Okay?
Okay.
At any given day, I may not show up the next day because you know what? I feel real undervalued here. So I set up a meeting with my employer. Now I said nothing more. Said thank you, ma'am. Whatever. I explained a few of my concerns. Felt like I was being undervalued and my work was being plagiarized a little bit. Instead of saying, Shivanna brought about this new idea. How about we try this? Somebody was taking my work, copying the spreadsheet, slapping their name on it, and you know, I'm the new girl, so how am I gonna say anything about that, right?
It's so okay. So this is hilarious to me because first of all, welcome back, guys, to another week, another
Oh
episode.
my god! Oh my god!
Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast. I am your host, Miss D, and today we just dive right into the raw mess of the week. I usually kick off with the introduction, so we're gonna get to that. This is like back to back episodes now where we just dive right in, and then I gotta catch up with the intro, and that's okay. So let's just address this raw mess, and then we'll go into the intro. So here's the thing: I find a couple of things here, right? It is tough times out there right now in the workspace, right? Even when for entrepreneurs, right? When you're in an industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say there's a little bit of competition or whatever. But when you have people who are not supportive, right, in what that space is, and I don't mean that you have to like rescue each other, but support is support, and it could look like in different ways, right? And so I feel you 100% on that. We started off the conversation, then I hit record, and I said that that's exactly how I've been feeling because I'm going through a journey right now professionally
Right.
where I'm also in the process of learning, and I don't feel that level of support that I would want with this particular thing, right? And it's not it probably looks different from the other side, but then there's a way to have that conversation,
Yeah.
right? And so to your point, when you're highlighting, well, in 4 weeks I'm still new, I'm still getting used to this, right? It's not about giving anyone a pass because we do want to address a situation, but there's a way to do that without
Yes.
making someone feel like fuck all these other days that you've been giving here and that you've been doing a fantastic job. Let's just focus on these three things,
Exactly.
right? And that is discouraging in itself. I have a huge problem with people slapping their name on other people's work.
Thank you.
I
Thank
don't
you.
like that. And I've seen that happen a
Thank
lot. Not
you.
not where I'm at right now, I will say that, but in the past I've seen it, and it's uncomfortable, it's demeaning, it's insulting, and I get it. I listen, how often can we find a place that is just so perfect to be at, right? Very few and far in between. But it doesn't have to require for you to do the work that you do and for someone to take it and to make it seem like, oh, this was a team effort when it really wasn't, or
Well,
this was the work we did when it really wasn't. Or if we're going to display it as a we, give the credit where the credit is due.
thank you. And if you want to hear what my bitch move was, because I pulled a real snobby bitch move and I did not go complaining, oh, somebody's plagiarizing my work and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, this role is not a self starter. This is not for a self starter. And this is not what we negotiated at my interview. So this is not going to work for me if I'm feeding somebody my work for them to turn it into their own. Like,
Right,
you hired
right.
me to build systems. How am I building systems if somebody's duplicating my work? That makes absolutely no sense. So, like you said, you have to know how to have these conversations in
Yeah.
order to get what you want out of it,
Hmm.
because it can sound like a cry from a woman, cuz I've been down this road before, okay?
Hmm.
So from a woman, you can't sound like a crybaby, and like, it's sad that we have to take the emotion out of everything. But once as they see you looking like you're sad, or in my case, I was high strung because I was too perky. I was vibrating too high, or I was bringing too much feminine energy. When you behave like that, you're like you're triggering them, okay? You're triggering
Hmm.
them. They don't like that. And when you bring emotion into it, I feel like it makes other people think you're weak and vulnerable when you may not be, okay? You may not be, but it makes that other person think that you're weak and vulnerable. Me personally, if you know me, I do not cry when I'm sad. When I'm fucking pissed, that is when I cry. Okay? That is when you will see me and the tears will be rolling when I'm pissed off. So, like,
Yeah.
that in itself, if you see me at my desk crying, you'll probably think, oh, she's so upset about that call and blah.
No.
No, I'm angry. Angry, and
Yeah.
I'm I
I'm the same way.
I'm holding my silence. Okay?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I actually so I'll definitely cry if it's like a movie, right?
Oh
That
my
just
god,
like really got to me, right?
I'm
But
working on that.
but I cry out of anger. And so when it's sad news and I don't know how to react, I tend to do this smirk. Oh my god, it's so bad.
Me
Oh my god.
too.
I can't tell you how many times people tell me, "Yo, you don't know what happened, this, that, and the third," and they're crying, and I'm like, and I look like I'm alive, but I'm really not. It's just I don't. I have such a hard, and I think it's because I'm so like disconnected working in healthcare and like seeing shit. I'm very disconnected.
Yeah.
It's not the best thing. I want to highlight something else that you just said before we dive right in, because
Mhm.
so much of what we're going to talk about is, yes, definitely from your creative space standpoint, but also you as a leader. And I've talked about this here before, and I'm manifesting it. I'm going to have somebody come on the show that really highlights so much about professionalism and all
Right.
that good
Oh my
stuff.
god.
Just throwing in some hints in there as to who I'm going to have on. I have to send him that email, but it highlights and it goes in with what we've experienced in our industries or whatever workspace, whether in the past or the present now, but also it has a lot to do with that leadership piece. So before we continue, because I definitely want to throw this dose into the raw mess of the week, I would like my guest to introduce herself and give a little blurb as to who you are, your name, what your creative space is with your community and your business, if you please can do so.
Okay, well, thank you, Miss D, for inviting me onto your pod. I was super pumped up about this. You know, there was something that you said in your live the other day on IG about taking the mask off, and your makeup is sort of that mask. It stuck with me. It resonated. I think about it every day when I come home and I look at myself in the
Mm-hmm.
mirror. I'm like, holy shit, that. that was a winning line. Okay, so
Yeah.
thank you for inviting me to your space. I'm really appreciative of it. Okay, so my name is Shivanna, known on the gram and on almost every social media platform as Shorty Cash. That's been sort of a brand that I've been building for about 10 plus years, just because I love to create content. I'm a
Mm.
multi talented visionary, a lifestyle strategist. I have two beautiful daughters, 19 and 5, and I'm married to my junior high school sweetheart. So, yes, 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 yes.
I love it.
Um, I'm from the small island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. I grew up in Queens, New York, and about a few years ago, I moved to this really suburban town in New Jersey. So I'm highly ambitious. I do a lot of things. I'm addicted to winning and helping other people win too.
Oh, I'm addicted to winning and helping other people win too. Talk about it. I
Yes,
love that.
yes,
Yes. So we got connected through a mutual friend,
yes,
Sally, who has been
yes.
here on the show a couple of times already. We're talking Queens Infusions, Mood Well now. We're talking such an
Cannabis
evolution.
Queens of Queens.
Yes, we are talking such an evolution about her. She was actually was started off as a coworker, developed in a beautiful friendship, someone that I hold very dear to my heart. We have seen each other in some of the toughest times, some of the
Right.
toughest times, both personally, professionally, and we've been able to maintain a friendship. And so, being able to connect with anyone that she connects with is an honor in itself. And so, I met you
Likewise.
through her. Yes, I met you through her, and I have to say, it's so funny because I wear my makeup very proudly, but I'm also going to call it what it is. It
Right.
is a mask. It's part of the mask, whether the mask is making you feel good, whether the mask is hiding your dark circles. Because I was so angry, I was crying for 7 hours last night. You know, what have you, right? It's the
Right.
mask. It's a mask that sometimes just gives that either motivation or gives that hidden momentum, and I wear it still with a badge because I think it also tells my mood sometimes, and I don't take that for granted. I don't take that for granted, the ability to go out there. And I'm not talking about a mask that, oh, she's fake. No, 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 no. Because whether my eyebrows are penciled in, whether the eyeshadow's on, whether the lipstick is a certain way, you're going to get Miss D however which way Miss D is,
Love that.
regardless. Regardless. But I had to acknowledge what this whole process is for me, right?
Right.
And one of the things I want to, go right into here with you was I had joined you on an event, a space that you held virtually,
Yes.
and in learning about you and seeing what you had created, and seeing the opportunities that you give to others, it was in that moment that I said, yo, Shivana's like really no bullshit here. Like she just puts it out there like it is, right? And I like that. I appreciate someone who can really put shit out there for anybody and everybody, because not a lot of people know how to do that. Let me be very raw mess of the week, y'all. It's going to be a little messy. I cannot tell you how many people I know or how many people I may follow who are constantly putting up a front. And it's not that you need to put it all out there to the world, right? Because I choose to keep certain things very private and personal.
Same.
Okay. But it's another when you're consistently putting up a front. And I'm more so concerned for those people, because what I question now, and guess why I'm able to identify those people? Because once upon a time, I was those people. Okay. I question and I'm concerned because are you really healing? Are you really growing?
Nope.
Are you really facing the shit that you have to face to get out of whatever space it is that is holding you back and not allowing you to be who you really are, your true self? Because the front, if it's apparent to me, that means you full blown lying to yourself.
Yo, tell me about it. You
That's
know
what
how
that
many
means.
people genuinely want to stay connected to you because we've had
Hmm.
so much history. But seeing the front over and over, you get tired. You're like, damn, like you're lying to yourself. You're going to be lying to me. Like, what are we? is this friendship even gonna be a friendship? So you know how many times I have to hit unfollow on this social media thing because of people that put up these fronts, or even random pages you follow, and after a while you get to learn this is not what this person's like behind here. And I'm not bragging. Anybody that has met you will tell you one of the best compliments that I get is, Shavana, oh my God, you are exactly who you are on social media.
Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes,
And here's the thing, it's like, so I could have my bad days, I could have my good days. You figure out a way to show up, and if you don't show up, you figure out a way to show up and say, "I'm not showing up."
exactly.
That's really all it takes.
Exactly.
That's really all it takes. I wanted to add an additional dose to, if we're too emotional, right, it's a problem. Um,
Yeah.
I want to add to that. Um, listen, this shit is gonna come out like weeks later, right? But let me be honest. I don't really go on social media like that as far as Facebook goes. I keep Facebook as a space for family, right? To connect
Same.
with family. But today, on this day that we're recording, I just heard a little something about a little mess. And I got so irritated. I got so annoyed. And I haven't done this in so long. But I was just like, you know what? I'm just so frustrated with the defamation that people will create against a person. I'm just so I'm irritated in the sense that we have to live a better life. We have to live a better life individually. Like the energy that you put into that shit is a problem. And if you don't have the, I don't know, maybe just the common courtesy to address it directly with the person, even if it's me, let's say, this case was not about me, but even if it was,
Right.
then just keep your mouth shut. When people have that much in them to start issues, to create narratives, it's really those people who you need to be careful of and not keep so much in your space, even if they are family. And so I just went on Facebook and I just said, public service announcement. I really don't like old ass people. And by old, I mean like some of us are just too old to be doing this shit. Just starting shit or creating gossip or just starting shit, even if it's family or especially when it's family. Like we gotta stop. And the reason why I say that is because as much as I could be feuding right now with my siblings, because I'm always feuding with my siblings. If you've been tuning into this show, I'm always feuding with my siblings, okay? But it's like for me, it's like I will never allow myself, nor could I ever think of going into a space where I would create the feud amongst my siblings. Meaning, I could feud directly with you, but I will never sit there and put you against you. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a testimony to where we are mentally. It's a testimony to where we are in healing, where we are just as people, just as
Yes.
humans.
Yes.
um where do you stand when it comes to love, when it comes to peace? I'm gonna let things be when I feel they need to be a certain way, but for me to add fuel to the fire, for me to be stirring the goddamn pot, like some of y'all have no business stirring nothing.
Yo.
Seriously.
Yo. And that's the thing. When I mentor, I try to tell people, do not listen to someone that does not have a personal experience of what you are asking advice for. Okay? Because
Mm,
what they are telling you, they picked it up in a movie, they picked it up on the street. They're telling you someone else's story. They're not
mm,
telling you from their, and it's okay. We can from other people's, like, but I feel like on this social media thing, everybody nowadays wants to be the advice guru too and give everybody advice. And that's a shitty ass thing, okay? And
I
we're
know.
going to get into it later because, you inspired me for weeks with your statement about confidence is powerful, but it comes with enemies, okay? Since you invited me to this pod, that has resonated. It's sat there, it's lingered. I've thought about it, what it's meant. And girl, let me tell you, you can be a good ass person, you can have all the human decency in the world, you can do, somebody's always gonna hate you, somebody's always gonna not like you, all of that, okay? There's gonna be narratives about you that you don't even know,
Amen.
okay? That you
Amen.
don't
And
even.
that's why I'm fucking tired of the gossip.
Yo,
This is why.
yo, no lie, I looked at my block list the other day, and my social media is like not how the average person builds their social media. I kind of
Mhm.
interact with all my followers, like I know who everybody is. So that's why I'm able to feel comfortable in that space to share like that too. My block list is near 300, okay? And it's just for people being shitty, for sending me shitty comments in my DMs, shitty things under my pictures, like just being a shitty individual, or I heard something about you from somebody that I didn't even know knew you, and I'm like, what?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why I don't know if you've noticed a little bit of changed energy from me, but my DMs is off limits. Don't pick my brain in my DMs anymore, because I'm gonna tell you, do you go to the hairdresser and ask her to trim your hair for free? You definitely
No.
don't, right? So
No.
I'm done. I gave my charity for 3 years, okay? I answered all the DM questions and all of that. Like, no. All of those people, they made it bad, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I'm
It's a serious thing. No, you're right. It's a serious thing. So, you know what? We're just gonna go right into the second segment because
yes, let's go.
we want it to be a little messy in the raw mess of the
Yes.
week. But not so much messy in the sense like, oh, I'm throwing jabs. No, this
No.
is really like serious messaging coming across. It
Yes.
really is. And there's this song. It's in Spanish and it's from this late singer called Hector Lavoe. I don't know if you've
Okay.
ever heard of that name, but there's a song, and it was actually depicted in a movie with Mark Anthony and J-Lo. And there's a song about him being El Cantante, the singer. And the actor who's presenting the song saying, well, I wrote this song for you. And he goes, whatever coincidence it is to your life, whatever similarities this is to your life is just pure coincidence. And so for me, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's tuning in, whoever hears this, if the shoe fits, I mean, it just happens to fit. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And again, it's not about jabbing. It's about, you know what? I think I've forgotten a little bit how to voice myself when it comes to some public service announcements that just everybody needs to hear. So that's why we
Yo.
kicked it off with this type of raw mess of the week. But I want to dive right into the As Raw as It Gets segment.
Yes.
Here we get to talk a little bit more closer just on what your business is and what do you do. And so I want to highlight, because it has so much to do with confidence, I want to highlight the way you started off and kicked off creating your space in your community. And
Okay.
I remember in one of those live segments, you said, I've been doing this even before IG.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to talk a little bit about that. Like, where did this beginning come from for you, defining richness
Right.
and embodying it and creating so much inspiration in what we as women could call empowerment, the
Right.
advocacy that you do for women who are living in their true selves. So talk to me a little bit about how this
So
started for
so
you.
this is a wild story, okay? So let's start off. I'm a young teenage mom, and it starts off with me just being this hungry hustler, okay? Like
Mhm.
I'm determined to prove my parents wrong, that the 17-year-old mom can go to college. She can still be successful. She can still have a happy marriage. Like we can still do all. I'm determined to do that. So the first time I started cultivating space was actually in work environments. So
Mm,
kind of like how I think you guys have the Berg and stuff at work, Sully's involved in that stuff. So something like that. It was like back end workshops for HR, but this is way before HR and everything became a thing. So I started cultivating workspaces, and I
mhm.
did that probably for about 15 years. So
Okay.
I was a hungry hustler. I had a toxic relationship with work. Okay. It not I wasn't even a present mom. Okay. My husband pretty much raised my first daughter. Like I'm super guilty of not being present. I would go to the events, but that would be it.
Mm,
Okay. Fast forward now, I moved to Jersey and my life kind of takes a whole 360 turn. Okay. So what does that mean? It means I started slowing down. So the hustle
okay.
and bustle was no longer my regular norm, all these kinds of things. And I I don't know what in me was like, let's take on a side hustle. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
right before the pandemic, I take on this side hustle. I join a network
Mhm.
marketing company. Okay.
Okay.
And I told you I have an aggressive ass career. So like I'm good at networking, I'm good at building community, all this kind of stuff. Good. I was like, oh yeah, I could sell some shampoo. Like, yeah, I'm a social media creator. Like, well, let's do this, right, girl?
Mhm.
I sold the shampoo, but I didn't sell the shampoo because it was shampoo. I sold the shampoo because I was a good leader. I was giving away all my marketing tactics, all this kind of stuff. Fast forward now, about a year and a half into it, I'm getting really into it. I like it's extra money, all these kinds of things. I decided to have my first in person event. So I
Okay.
collaborate with two other girls that are doing this with me. And we're like, we're going to have a meet, but we're going to make it a little different because we don't want to just meet entrepreneurs that are doing the same thing. We want to meet people that are doing all different kinds of things. So my
Okay.
girlfriend had this really nice house upstate New York, really nice outdoor space. So we decided to have this event. We have about 12 females turn up, okay, which is amazing, okay, because we don't know any of these girls. They just bought Facebook tickets and whatever. And we're just meeting all these strangers, and I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is happening here? Because we thought this was gonna be a vendors meet, and this is turning into like a safe space. These women are like confiding in each other and they're like supporting each other, and they're really pumped up to talk about their businesses, and it's amazing what happened, okay?
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, creating workspaces and what happened that day are two completely different animals, okay? We got to a segment of that event where
Uh-huh.
it was like a gratitude section. I just asked my girlfriend to speak a little bit about gratitude. Girl, you're talking about 12 grown ass women. You know, we was smoking a little sign too. But, you know, you're talking about 12 grown ass women get so emotional by a question of how would you be feeling when your kid graduates high school? Like, that
Mhm.
was the gratitude question. We want you to be grateful for your child graduating high school right now.
Right.
Write in this piece of paper how you feel. And you're talking about 12 grown ass women started crying, tearing up, sharing all these intimate stories. Yo, I told you at the beginning of this pod, I'm not a person to cry in
Right.
in sad stories. So I didn't cry. Every hair in my body stood up, Miss G. Like, I was moved. I was touched. I
Right.
left. I left the event. It was the most beautiful sunset driving home. It was about a 2 hour
Oh.
drive home. Okay. I pulled out my notepad and I wrote my entire business plan for what was going to be a female community holding safe space. Come smoke your shit, come take your
Yeah.
drink, come paint your pictures, come create your content, come do whatever. I and I wrote this entire business plan, and I called the two girls that I collaborated this event with, and I was like, yo, I got something to pitch to y'all.
Right.
She was like, what? I was like, yeah, I wrote a whole business plan going home, and the name is WAP because this event was in Wappinger Falls. Okay. so that was always a conversation piece. Everybody automatically went with WAP for what Cardi B made it out to be. You know, we
Mhm.
were female empowerment, all this, but in actuality, it was because we started out in Wappinger Falls.
That is so funny.
Okay,
That
so
is the funniest shit I've heard.
yo, I pitched them this idea. They're like, "Yo, I'm with it. Like, let's do it."
Mhm.
Now, remember, I told you I joined a network marketing company. That's how we.
Yeah.
I get a phone call. You can't sell shampoo and weed in the same space. I'm like, say what? I'm like, I wasn't selling weed. I was like, we were just partaking. Like, long story short, my leader, the person that was selling me this lifestyle that I'm my own business owner and all of that, literally said, I'm gonna take your business away from you if you don't stop smoking. And I was like, say word? Say word.
Really?
Okay, well, screw you. Take your shit and go that way. And I'm gonna keep it moving this way. And some of the girls ended up following along. Okay, so
So crazy.
then I felt like the chosen leader now. Now you have to make WAP work. You have to make this community work. You have to help these women do things. So what did I do, Miss D? I was home. Ended up like being home in the pandemic, unemployed. I took it up into myself. I've learned how to do podcast, not for myself. I learned how to do podcasting. I learned how to create better content. I learned how to use AI. I learned how to create YouTube videos, how to open small businesses, LLC, and taught all that shit. Taught it to anybody that was willing to come into that space, that needed that space, just off of my Instagram. Like, it's literally people that have been with me my whole life,
Yeah.
that we never knew why we needed each other, and they just honed
Mm.
into a message that I was sending, and all you had to do was slide into my DM and be like, "Girl, I need this message." I would add you to a group chat, and after you get added to the group chat, you've got best friends in your pocket 24/7. Okay, that's literally what we called it. Your best
Mm.
friend in your pocket all the time. You needed to know something about business, you had girls. You needed to know something about divorce, you had girls. You needed somebody to know about jail, you had girls. Anything you needed, there was somebody there willing to help the next one. And sometimes, it left the group chat, went into something more personally, but that is how space started. And that's what I mean. I've been doing this a long time. So when it came to
Mhm.
cultivating the space, I felt like the chosen leader. I felt like, I was going to be the glue. And all I did was bring them together. After I
Together.
brought them together, it was a wrap. They knew what to do after that. And in touching with the whole confidence brings enemies and all of that, when you're building leaders, that's a hard thing, because leaders will leave you. Okay, if you're just building confidence, they will stay, they will follow, they will duplicate, they will copy. But if you're creating real leaders, they can outlead you, they can
Yeah.
become better than you. But
Yeah.
you have to remain with that gratitude that they started with you, even if they never tell you that. Even if they go and say she was shit, you have to remember in the good times what you did and where you took them from and carried them to. Because a lot of people don't remember that part of the journey after they get all the way up here.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to remember that. But that's
It's
how space
it's
started for me.
it's that outleading you. It's the
Yeah.
outleading you that a lot of people are not okay with, that
Mm,
they take this role of being a leader in any situation, okay? In any situation, in any form of relationship, in any form of space, right? And the concept of being in the lead is confidence enough for some people,
yes.
okay? And then what happens when you start seeing the other person going in front of you? For some, that becomes a threat. For
Yes.
some, that's not something to be proud of. For some, they want everybody to lead with them, but not
Mhm.
lead ahead of them.
Mhm.
And I happen to feel that a true leader is creating leaders that can definitely out lead and continue. I happen to believe that.
Yes.
So when I say the comments, right, because you've created and you've cultivated and created a space for women, right, to come together of all backgrounds and all creativeness and
Yes.
all businesses, right? For the purpose of networking, for the purpose of continuing and cultivating
Yes.
friendships, right? And partnerships for that. And you don't see that so often where it's actually something that's working out. So, like, I really see a lot of the people that were in the same space and in that virtual event that you had that are still really fucking with each other and are just really there amplifying one another and still providing that support and providing that partnership. And I want to recognize that because like I really see it. Like you
Right.
really, really see it and you really, really feel it. Now, before I even skip over this, I said, is there room and money for everyone? I said, let me tell you, confidence is powerful. And boy, does it have its enemies.
Mhm.
I feel that confidence is an attitude. Confidence
Mhm.
is something that it's just there. And some days it's at 100, and some days it's at a 50, and some days it's at a 70, and some days it might just be at a 10.
Right.
But it's there. When you have it, it's there, you know? It's like it's kind of like, the mask that I wear, my makeup, right? But I can't hide when I'm just that exhausted. I can't hide when something is going on, no matter how much I'm putting on this mask to hide
Mhm.
anything, right? And I had someone say, it's like you're still you, but I could tell something is wrong.
Right.
I could tell, like, I don't know, are you tired? Are you exhausted? Are you stressed? Because I could tell.
Right.
But like, you're still you. You're still walking in, like,
Yep.
And when they told me that, I said to myself, I'm always gonna be that bitch, but that bitch can sometimes have really bad days,
Yo,
right?
hard lesson though. That's a hard pill to swallow
It
because
is.
we think we gotta always have our shit together and
I
put
don't.
on the face and yeah, no.
No.
In this whole journey, the wake up call, I told you I had a toxic work relationship. The
Mhm.
wake up call, Misty, was a learning personal development. What it means, what I need to do. Once as I learned those little key things that I needed to do for my mental health, for me to have a peace of mind, for me to just have a good day, not be angry, not be react to things too quickly. I was like, holy shit. Like I should have
Mhm.
picked up these 5 books years ago. But
Right.
timing is everything too, you know? Timing is everything. But it's personal development. If you start a journey of personal development, you will become more and more self-aware the more you absorb in the journey. Like
Right.
it's part of the healing. So unless you say, listen, something's wrong with me. I don't like this about me. I don't like this behavior. I need to fix it. You're never going to be self-aware in that category to fix
Amen.
it.
Amen. Amen. That message goes to plenty of you who will never ever look in a mirror and say, "Well, damn, maybe I'm the problem." Well, damn,
Yo,
maybe I need to come back. Listen, that's a hard mirror to face. But I promise you, when you do that, I just released a Solita episode about, questioning yourself versus
right.
doubting yourself. Those are two different things, right? And I
Completely.
attribute it to, challenges, right? But this applies in this situation too. It's okay to question yourself, to sit there and be that person who questions yourself about your decisions and your choices. I'm one that in more recent years, I've been a lot in tune with my emotions, in tune
Mm,
with my self awareness, with my emotional
mhm.
intelligence. And so when I do something, I do it strategically, knowing that this is an executive decision that I'm choosing to make here. Okay. Back in the day, that's
All
not what Daisy was doing. It
consequences.
was it was everything, right? But
Yup.
who I am today is choosing this. And let me say this, while my confidence has definitely fluctuated, that moment and that ability to be that self aware and that emotionally intelligent has absolutely amplified my confidence to a whole other level,
See?
because I do know where I fuck up on myself. I know that. I know that now. Before, I was always right. Nothing
Mhm.
was ever wrong.
Mhm. Same.
I wasn't doing no damage to me or worse, anybody else. I'm always right. Everybody else was wrong.
Girl, I was the best mom. I had a career. I was walking around with the nice purse. I was all of that.
Mhm.
My kids probably thought I was shit. My daughter probably thought I was the shittiest mom, you know?
Yo, we talk about me and my sister talk about that all the time. We're like, yo, we could sit here and say to ourselves, no, I'm a good mother because I do this, I do that, I do this part, I keep it real with what I am. I'm not gonna do.
Right.
And then we're like, one day we're gonna have to prepare ourselves because I'm pretty sure our kids are going to sit us down and say, well, you
Yo,
kind of fucked up here.
wait.
And
I,
I know. Wait, wait,
I
Shivana.
know. So I have a 19-year-old. So at 17, she sat us down. She sat us down and she said, guys, um, it would have been nice if you guys like weren't so friendly and did some parenting. I'm like, what? What? Like she turned out amazing. So like I can take that from her, but had she been a piece of shit to tell me something, right? So
But
like
how interesting is
we
that?
thought we did this amazing job, and there she is at 17, ready to graduate high school, telling us, I wish you guys parented a little bit more. I wish I had a curfew. I wish I broke the rules and got grounded.
Oh my
And I'm like,
god.
wow, wow. Oh, oh, okay. All right,
Yo, it's crazy. The things that could potentially happen, come up.
Yo.
Like, cause I see, I would have never thought that.
And then
But
she
if
left and went to dorm right after telling us that. She's like, yeah, well, I'm leaving now. I'm going to dorm in school. And I'm like, oh, great. So now we get to be parents to the child that doesn't live here anymore.
right,
After we
right,
know
right, right, right after she wanted y'all to be parents,
Yes.
she's out.
Now you're leaving. Now you're telling me I'm a grown ass adult and I'm gone. Oh, perfect. This is amazing.
It's insane to me, but it's like I've prepared myself mentally for that because I know it's coming. I
Yeah.
know it's gonna happen eventually, and it's not to say that it's not supposed to, right? Who
Mm.
who am I to invalidate how the
Yes.
kid is
No.
gonna feel, But all I can do is try my best and being able to see it from all sides, right?
Yes.
And still remain confident in the mother who I believe I've been, right? But confident enough to be able to hear my child out in that moment and know that two things could be complete opposites and be truth at the same time,
Yep.
and not let it take away from how confident I am as the mother that I am, because his view maybe on one or two things might be completely different,
Mm-hmm.
right? Speaking of the confidence being so powerful but it having its enemies, do you think that's a bad thing, whether in any situation, in a relationship, in a friendship, just a business or an industry? Do you think that with being so confident, that being such a powerful thing, that it's a bad thing in having those enemies? Because we're going to have those enemies regardless.
So what I think is bad about it, it's fine. If we can't get along anymore, whatever, you've moved on, you've outlead me, you want to do something different. Once is there's like some disrespectfulness,
Hmm.
disloyalty, all those kinds of stuff, I feel like it destroys the entire relationship,
Yeah.
So that's a tough one because
Yeah.
what do you think? Tell me your take on it.
My guests usually don't ask me, but I'm going to answer.
Yes, tell
I
me your take on
think
it.
so. I've learned that sometimes those people probably don't even know they are an enemy. Sometimes they don't even know that they're driving in that field. I've learned through trial and error that sometimes the mask on somebody who can potentially be your enemy looks like admiration, but it could really be envy,
Mm,
you know? Like it looks like something, but it's really not. And I don't take for granted learning those lessons. I think
yes.
sometimes it is a good thing to be exposed to that, to realize that it's in existence, because it does help you. It helps you to identify it when you see it, when you encounter it, and B, it helps you face the reality that life is not perfect.
Right. Okay, so let's give a real world situation because Shavana's always got one of those, right? So after WAP, um,
Oh, we're giving like a
yeah.
real
So
situation.
after
Oh.
WAP, we won't even get into why we
Mm-hmm.
kind of did away with that. That's a whole nother podcast episode. But I ended up recreating the space and creating something called Rich Girl Rising.
Mm-hmm.
It was exact duplication of the first space, right? And what ended up happening to me in that space created a lot of enemies, and it was because I stood up for myself. But I stood up for myself amongst leaders that were
Mm.
now my proteges. I just created 20 leaders and I want to stand up in a space with 20 of me. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Right.
have my values, my morals, like it was not well received. And
Really?
I'll just get into the incident because I'm not the woman that will ever ask another woman to humble herself down. I don't care if you're right, you're wrong, whatever. If you want to be on a high horse, you do you, girlfriend. Be on your high horse, okay? But I worked on something and everyone knew that I was working on something, and then somebody went and took the prize and invited me to the event. So I worked on something that there was going to be all this politicians and you know I worked on it for about a year and a half. And then someone in the group went slid in that person's, took the connection, and then threw an invitation and wanted my whole group now to come out and support her. She wanted me to come out and support her. Girl, but what ended up happening was because I called out this one person in a public space with all these others, and all these others didn't really know too much of the backstory. It was not well received. And everyone became an enemy because they speculated. So
Really?
that too is another thing. Don't disrespect me before you have the chance for us to give each other explanations or any of that, because I will cut you
Mm,
the fuck off. Okay?
mhm,
Because if you're gonna talk shit about me, I don't owe you an explanation.
mhm.
Right? So the rumors started, mad random people that I did pods with and stuff are like hitting me up and it's like, yo, like what happened? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, I heard you're a shitty person. And I'm like, what? Because I closed the chat down because I felt disrespected and everybody disrespected me along with it. And I'm gonna kid you not, that is why Sully is still around and a rock and still with me through all of this. It's because she stayed loyal. And I'm gonna touch back on something that you said, when people leave you and they become better leaders and all those
Yeah.
kinds of things. I had to keep that in mind, okay? That they're bitter and they're whatever, but leave them, let them go lead, because you've taught them some good stuff. So if they want to spread your name and talk all this shit, let me not
Let
even hear,
them.
let me not hear it. So I'm gonna block you, I'm gonna block everybody related to you, I'm gonna stay out of your way, you stay out of my way, and that's the end of that. So
Mhm,
confidence, envious people, you really got to be careful in these spaces. Like,
mhm,
I learned some hard lessons, but it didn't deter me. I'm still passionate about building spaces like that. I just, this time, every time you know more going into it. So your protection
mm.
is better. Okay? So the next circle of women, they have a different level of protection around them because now I know other things.
Right.
Um and I also, something that I've also learned about these spaces online, they should come with like expiration dates. Okay? Like they should, I'm not kidding. They should come with expiration dates because it's it's a human, it's a woman law of nature or whatever we want to call it. We
Mhm,
can't like each other for extended periods of time. It's not in our thing. It's very few people can do that. You have to connect on a lot of different levels to stay lifetime friends. So these circles and spaces that we're creating to help each other build, I feel like let's set the goal. Let's reach
mhm.
the goal, and when the goal is accomplished, expire. Let's start it over and move on to the next one and do the next thing. Because
Right.
what ends up happening in these safe spaces, Miss D, is you start off as a network, but it ends up thinking that it's a friendship. It ends up thinking it's a sisterhood. Ends up thinking that it's something more. And someone like me, I'm looking for the network. If I'm chatting with you outside of this group, then I'm looking for the friendship. But inside this group, we're networking, we're working, we're building, we're growing together. We're not
Yeah.
all sisters in here, homie. Like, you don't know all my business, but maybe she does.
It's honestly, confidence, confidence
It's
is
a
a
wild
thing
thing,
that
okay? Wild
it
thing.
is. It's a wild thing because it's supposed to be something that should be able to be shared,
Yes,
to
it's a
amplify
wild thing.
others. And the moment that you share it, when people just don't know where to begin for themselves, is because they want to have it just like you, right? And it's not that. You're supposed to be able to find it inside yourself. You're supposed to be able to have it on your own, and
Right.
and not be envious of others or create a narrative
Mhm.
to bring them down, and in turn to take away that confidence that they
Yes.
have, to smear on their name or their business, right? Like, what a way that I see that confidence has enemies. And we could move on to the next segment after this, but just to put the cherry on top, when you are an entrepreneur and you are making your money off of your website, off of your, and specifically to entrepreneurship, because I've seen this happen so many times and it's so upsetting. You have your website, you have your social media handles, and here comes somebody creating a fake page.
Oh my god.
And they are trying to take money, the space, right? And they're trying to copy all your shit, and they're trying, and it's like, damn, like that is a perfect example. Because when they see you doing so good, when they see you succeeding, when they see that your business is growing, ooh, they're gonna come for you. And they'll come for you in so many different ways. But that is also a way that I see, in my opinion, confidence has enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And it breaks my heart because some of these people are really working their asses off. They're really
Yep.
creating their businesses here. And so here comes another handle exactly like it, just one more underscore.
Yep. Yo,
And
that
that's
used
it.
to piss me off until my coach said to me, "You have to look at duplication as a form of flattery, Shavana. You have to." He's like, if you don't look at duplication as a form of flattery, you will be pissed off every single time this happens. So you
That is
have to
true.
understand, the better you get, the greater you become, people are going to want to be you. And I was like, well, if you want to make me a public figure, then sure, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't think we're that important to for somebody to spend this kind of time doing that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
and for me, and I'm sure same goes for you. Do you really want to duplicate, or do you want to tap into your own creativity? What are you about? What do you want? Like, so do you really want to live my life, or you want to live yours? Because I can help you live yours. And that's kind of where I'm at in my cultivating space journey right now. There needs to be some changes because the problem with confidence and all these things lie deeper than creating safe spaces. It starts in the home. It starts young. Okay. So I'm actually kind of transitioning now to move to a space where we work with parents and children, and in creating safe spaces to talk to each other about certain things. And so a lot of my workshops and stuff that are coming are going to be like more experience driven, where you bring your child along with you. We're going to teach them about side hustles. We're going to teach them what it means to be ambitious. We're going to teach them professionalism, etiquette, because these days it's hard to not know these things. Everybody's a fucking social media millionaire, okay?
And
Everybody's one.
the true definition of professionalism, because let me say it, okay? Whatever color your hair is has nothing to do with your professionalism. This is why I'm manifesting so much who I want to bring on the show. Okay. It is, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, I am at a space, at a place, working my ass off in such a high leadership role. And
Right,
nobody has anything to say about my goddamn purple nails.
right.
Because in other spaces, in other places, I would have gotten the side eye for
Hmm.
coming up in there with purple ass nails because no, here we just do either the brown or the pink. That's
And,
it.
and you know what? Being in that space, Miss D, will level your confidence up. You will never go back to a space where your nail polish is a thing, because
Exactly.
that is the reason why I was able to stand up for myself in this space. It's because I've been in better spaces.
That's right.
Okay. So that alone in itself, when you put yourself in environments that are better for you and all those things, it does something for you too. Unless you want to go back to where you were, chances are you're only gonna be moving forward. The next place, they're probably your coworker probably gonna have purple nails with pink hair. Okay, you
Amen.
won't be the only one anymore. Because you're gonna start wanting that kind of space for yourself. You're gonna start cultivating that type of space too. And
Hmm.
as leaders, it happens so second nature. When you
Yeah.
are that person and you're encouraging and you're supportive, the people around you start being more and more authentic on their own.
Ooh. Yes.
Yeah, like I see it all the time. Like a little bit of human decency in the workplace. People are like, "Holy shit, why is she acting so nice?" I'm like, "Duh, I said
It's
good
not
morning."
that.
Yeah, I
It's
said good
right.
morning.
Right.
I smiled
Right.
at you. Like, what?
Right, right. I have never been so excited to see a security guard the way I am today when I walk into my office because you know
Right.
what? He's there. He's saying good morning to everybody. And
Yo,
and when he says a good morning, it's not just good morning, it's hey, good morning. How are you today? I'm good. How are you? Like that feels good. And I'm not really a morning person, okay?
right.
Especially if I haven't had my coffee. Okay.
Right.
I'm not that chipper. But you know what? When you have that amplifying
Yes.
that morning time, it could really change your day for the better, and it goes
Yes.
such a long way. And I've learned that these past few months, just how much that makes me feel good. No matter how sometimes listen, work is gonna be work and it can stress you out. And as stressed as I may be, right? It feels good. It feels good to
Yes.
still walk into that space and have that type of an embrace.
Yes.
So I'm definitely with you here. I'm excited for you with what you have chosen to shift into and pivot when you have continued to cultivate the spaces that you want and you're working
Mhm.
on them actively. Because the truth is we do need that. We need spaces. We need spaces where we can find an answer or two, or have a space where to ask a difficult question, and you never know who can help you.
Yes.
Honestly, I went from doing weekly episodes on this podcast, right? And because things have gotten a little bit more intense in my career, I say, you know what, well, at least I'll release an episode a month or maybe two episodes a month, but I need to be able to balance things out, right? I still come back to do this because you just never know who's listening that it can make a difference with. I still come back to share things because I've had people message me and say, "Oh my God, this week's episode, I'm so happy you released it. Ooh, I'm so happy you released it. It meant so much to me. It just hit home." And when I hear that, when I have people still telling me those things to this day, it means a lot. It means more
Right.
to me than anything else because I can give you, I say it all the time, y'all. I'm an expert of my experiences. That's
I love that.
that's the only thing I'm an expert of my experiences. I'm
Right.
not an expert at motherhood, but I'm an expert in my experiences with my son. That's what I'm
Yes.
an expert on. Okay, I'm an expert in all the experiences I've had throughout my career. Am I the one in this entire industry? Absolutely the fuck not. Can I learn from the ones? Absolutely. I think I have some
Right.
pretty good fucking mentors. But I
Right.
am an expert of what my experience was
Yep.
doing X, Y, and Z.
I
And
agree.
that is something no one can take away from us. No one can ever sit there and say, "No, the fuck you not." Really? Did you do it? Because I did
Right.
it. I was
Mhm.
there. You didn't do what I did. And
Yep.
the people who are with me along the way and are doing the exact same shit I'm doing, or are doing it with me as a team, as a group, then we can say we the goddamn experts. We can say
Expert.
we was the
Right.
team that made this shit happen. Okay? So, speaking of, you know,
Yes.
being expert of our experiences, there's a little sunshine, so we're gonna go into the double or nothing.
All
And
right.
on this segment, we get a little deeper here. um I'm just gonna put it out there. You released a post on social media, and so for one, the colors you used to post it was neon green and neon pink, right? With a black, I think it was a black or gray
Yep.
backdrop. And I loved it. I'm gonna tell you why I loved it. Because one, it caught my eye, but two, most importantly, it was the message behind it. So I have it here on my phone because I like to reference shit. Um, our good old friend 50 Cent had a song, one of my favorite songs. Um, 21 Questions.
Right.
And you released the post with 21 new rules, profitable confidence. That's
Yes.
what you titled it. And the first one, probably the most simplest rule of them all, yet probably the hardest one. Okay. Set goals and crush them like a boss. Now, I'm not going to be here going through every single rule because we're going to attach the link in the show notes for people to go specifically to that post and to your social media. But I wanted to know what led to you being this raw. Like number 14, trust your gut and never steers you wrong. We hear that all the time. Do we fucking listen? No. But we hear it all the time and we know we should probably fucking do this shit and we still don't listen. But it's
Yes.
so true. Okay. 16. This one hit me home. Take a break when you need it. Burnout is not cute. It's not. This is why people think I look stressed even though my makeup looks cute. I
Right.
don't look it. Okay. Um, 19. Control what you can and let go of what you can't. Th- New rules, profitable confidence by Shivanna. Tell me, how did we get there? Because we know what drove 50 to 21 questions. What drove Shivanna to these 21 new rules?
Okay. So What do I do for fun? I like to study success. So if you are a successful person, I have studied you. So when you hit me with that 50, me and my brother probably 2 days before that talked about how 50, no, like it just felt in alignment.
Yep.
We talked about how 50 had the greatest rap album. We talked about how he was like one of the only people from Queens who still reps Queens, still goes back to Queens. Like, he's about it. So
Hmm.
like, and I think that's right around the same time where they were like, oh, maybe he's gonna come back and do a show and all that. So
Hmm.
he was a hot topic for me. So when you hit me with that, I was like, oh, okay. But how did literally so I use virtual assistant, I use Notion. I don't know if you know. Um, so I took all of the advices or anything that anyone in any of these spaces has ever given and did like a master blueprint of these rules. So these rules were not just by me. These were active things in all of these group chats that people were recommending to others. They were talking about it in real life situations.
Hmm.
And it came to me and I was like, I need something to motivate my girls. Like, I need
Hmm.
something to motivate my team for the new year. We need to get going Q1. Like, and I explained to them that I'm going to take everything that we've done over the last 6 months and I'm going to put together a master list of rules. And these are rules that we've cultivated together in this space. Come up with that. And that's how that list got generated. I literally took advice from a group chat and
Yeah.
came up with these hard rules that we ended up calling rituals. And every day was like somebody chose one. We recited them out loud to each other in this group chat in voice messages. It became like such a transformational piece of what we were doing inside the group chat that it was amazing when you asked me, because when I created the post, it was just meant for them. It wasn't meant for anyone
Okay.
else or anything like that. I was just sharing it on a whim and I'm like, wow. So that is goes back to what you're saying. You never know who's listening, who's paying attention to what, who's gonna
Yep.
catch your eye for what, all of that. And that's how the rules came about. But in actuality, I'm a one-liner girl. I like catchphrases. I think like easy slogans, all those kinds of things make things easy for you to remember. So you
Mm.
do it, all those kinds of things. I use them like little brain tricks sometimes. So
Yeah.
those rules I had the girls, some of them wrote them on cards, kept them in their wallets, like all different kinds of stuff we did with it. But it was actually a change in lifestyle. Those rules were meant to be a change in lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
It was not meant to be rules we live by daily. We're going to live by them daily, but we're going to get better and better as a human being by living these rules. And anybody that's been in my space will tell you that that's legit me. I come there every single day and they call me like the humble high horse or like the little mini Hitler because I that's my leadership style though. I'm super like I love everybody, but I'm aggressive when I want you to do something. So I will talk to you in that tough love manner and tell you it just like in 5 words what could be a whole 3 paragraphs. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you will get the message from me exact. So that's the story behind that.
I'm gonna be transparent right now. I may actually bleep out that name because I just don't fuck with it,
Right.
but I'm gonna leave everything else because yeah, sometimes it just come with a little bit of I don't like to say aggression. I'll say assertiveness,
Okay.
because it is what it is. Um, be proud of what makes you different and own it. That's one of your
Right.
rules. That one really stood out to me. That one was number 6. Take
So that
constructive
So that's
criticism.
my slogan. So my thing, I tell everybody, walk into a room and own it. Like walk into it like you belong there, okay?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be in any room. You belong there. There is no reason he belongs there and you don't belong there. You
Right.
belong there. So if you have your chance at being in that room, you belong there.
You're gonna,
So
yep.
so that was my personal rule. That probably came
Okay.
from my advice, yeah.
There is one more. Believing yourself, it's not arrogant if it's true. That one really stood out to me because a lot of people do not know the difference between believing in themselves and being arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
So let's begin there. Let's keep it all the way
Yes.
raw right now. But then there's also a lot of people who do not know how to embrace someone who really believes in themselves and will classify it as, oh, they're arrogant.
Yeah.
And it is so important to be very knowledgeable and aware of the difference in those two things. Um I was excited when I read this because, for one, it hit home on so many different levels, right? But also from the perspective of the creating space and cultivating spaces and I guess you could say even the networking relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth is, it's so funny. When I worked with Sally, I always used to say it's a bonus when you can have friendships out of your workspace. It's a bonus because it's not a guarantee. You have coworkers, but if you get a friendship out of that, that is such a beautiful bonus, right? When you are cultivating spaces for networking, right? And some people get it all the way fucked up and they can't sustain a friendship that may come out of that, right? But then you have these rules. And it's not rules that, like you said, I'm not imposing them on people. It's just, you could choose to live by them or not.
Yep.
When you think of cultivating a space of womanhood, of motherhood, of partnerhood, right? What does that look like to you when it comes to tying in these rules?
Right.
Is it easy? Is it difficult? Is it a
Hell
balancing
no,
act? How does that look like for you?
bro. It.
Yeah.
I I literally thought about this and I was like, people won't believe me if I tell them that my husband learns 50% of the things that I do through social media. Like, it's not a conversation. I won't go to him and say, "Listen, I'm doing XYZ." Like, if he chooses to pay attention to my story, he's going to know, and if he doesn't, he
Mhm.
doesn't. But it's not his realm. He's not interested. Like, you know, in the past, maybe I shared it with him and he said something that turned me off. So now I don't even share with him because if you turn me off, then I'm going to be discouraged. My confidence is down here. So
I
it
mean,
taught,
because to be honest with you, with partnerhood, I think that's the most difficult one, right?
it
When you're
is.
tying in all these rules for yourself as a woman, for yourself as a mother, but then it's like, when it's you versus you. When it's your kids, the good part is some our kids are looking up to us, right? So half the time they're admiring everything we fucking do. But when it's a whole ass partner who's a grown ass person, like how do you find that balance?
Okay,
Because
so if I'm being for real, my family learns my rules on my social media. They'll see those posts and they'll be like, "That's my mom's rules." And like I said, I'm the same person on screen, off screen, all of that. So if mom said that, that's the kind
that's
of
what it is.
vibration mom's on.
Right.
So that's the kind of wave it is. And don't get me wrong, there has been times where they didn't agree with what I was doing and why are you doing this? Why are you putting so much out there? But I believed in what I was doing. I
Mhm.
stood my ground. I defended what I was doing. I kept on doing it because it was serving me good. So it didn't matter what it was doing for them. And yes, I take your feedback into consideration because I love you and if it's affecting you, then but if you just don't like it, then fine. You can just not like it and move over there too like everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So but it gets hard, okay? Like I said, I was learning a lot of things when I was cultivating this space that didn't benefit me. So a
Right.
lot of the things in my partnerhood would be like, well, why are you doing this? Why are you
Mhm.
up every night on all these calls? Like, come to bed, do all these things, right? And I'm like, but I have to. I felt obligated to. So that's why when I started like intersecting the conversation and saying, guys, maybe I should be making something from this. Like, let's kind of come up with some way that, I could make a little. It kind of came off as like I didn't want to do this for anyone anymore, and I was trying to make money from them. But no, I was just trying to say like, listen, my family got to eat too. Like, they want to know what the hell I'm giving charity every night for, like,
Absolutely.
and ruining my partnerhood, ruining my relationship with my kids. So they started. So it gets very hard, okay? It gets
Yeah.
very hard to be in this creative space, to be an entrepreneur, to be the working mom, to be the working wife, to do all those things. But at the end of the day, I want it all. I want to be all of that.
Imagine doing all of that while you're cultivating and creating spaces to empower other women with their businesses, with what they want to create, right? But oh my God, how dare you want to advocate for yourself in your
Yes.
creativeness and what your um talents are, where
Yes.
nothing should ever be handed out for free. And that's not the same as a favor. Let me be very
Right.
honest, okay? Because you can absolutely do favors for people, right? It's not like you've never not responded to a DM. But at some point, you have to be able to put price on that balancing act,
Yes.
or else you're going to drain yourself. When I see these 21 rules, those rules had nothing to do with a price list. It had everything to do with what it really costs you to work while you are creating these spaces, cultivating these spaces, coaching, mentoring, having phone calls, doing this, doing that. Yet nobody wanted to talk about the dollar signs attached to it, right? And the irony, it was 50 Cent who started the 21 questions, right?
Right.
So for me, it's like the balancing act behind it, because I knew a little bit about this with you. I knew that to you, community was just that so important. But I also
Hmm.
believe that as a community, we should want to see someone, to your point, you are a believer in winning and seeing others winning, right? So why can't those others do the same for you and be able to honor what it does cost you to put in all the work that you do for your community and the spaces you have cultivated.
Yep.
And that's where I wanted to really dive into those 21 rules, because let's face it, for profitable confidence, to have that level of confidence to stick to at least half of those rules, you cannot be shortchanged. You cannot be at a negative balance. You need and you need and you need, because as a
Yep.
human being who is working the overtime, because otherwise your husband would not have said you'll come to bed,
Right.
then let's just face it, you need to also see that reciprocation one way or another.
Yep.
And if it's not with the loyalty and if it's not with the respect, well then pay me my money.
So it was just it comes down to me knowing the value of myself too, okay?
Absolutely.
And like I said, I had no problem sharing what I know, but now that I see how much money people are making from knowing less than me, why am I going to continue to give it away for free? Because then that just makes me an idiot. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to find a way to give back in different ways, and we're going to charge up front now because I understand the value of this. I've gone through it for 2 cycles now,
Yeah, yeah.
you
Let's make
know?
this a full circle moment, right? Full circle, because
Full circle.
we started off with what it means to be in a space where people won't help you, right?
Right,
It's not hand holding, but at some point I need to learn this, right? At the end of the day, I still got to work hard for what I'm being paid for. I still got to
right.
work hard for the work I need to demonstrate, for the things I need to succeed in, for the goals, the tasks, the things that are absolutely not tangible. And when it comes to
Mhm.
my role, right? So even in this creative space, I may have gone down to just 2 episodes a month, but I know that for me to be able to continue with a voice, I have to deliver. I know that. I know that, right?
Thank you.
A full circle moment. You pay me to do a job here. I can't do the job right if I'm not being led in the right way. I cannot do it if I'm being shortchanged, even in the training, even with the experiences that I do have, but I still need more experience in certain areas. I cannot, regardless of what you're paying me, regardless if I know my worth. What is all of that dollar sign? Full circle moment. Let's flip it real quick. If I'm not equipped with the right support, with the right resources, with the
Yep.
right tools. So when you have all of that up front, but you're not seeing the reciprocation monetary wise, it's equally insulting, because you could give me all the value you want, but if you're not giving me the things I need to succeed to continue my success and amplifying that, I'm still going to fail. So what's the
Mhm.
problem? It's a failure here if I'm shortchanged in my reciprocation, and it's a failure here if I'm shortchanged in my tools and my resources and my abilities to
Right.
continue showing the work that I'm able to do. And I could not put that shit out there, right? Because it's so easy to fall in a situation where it's not necessarily a win-win. And so when we do have people who want to win and see others win, you have to be able to support that. You have to be
Yes.
able to join in on the community and to say, I could fuck with this. I could be part of
Yes.
this, you know? And I want to give you your flowers for that, because you just said this is I've already been through this twice.
Thank you.
And one of
I
the
will
things I
take
will
note.
say, no, one of the things I will say, you're not giving up.
No.
You just have learned from those experiences. You're becoming
Yep.
that expert of your experience, and
There we go.
you're realizing what not to do the next time around. Because let's face it, some of y'all can give an ex two, three, four motherfucking chances. Y'all keep going back. So what's the
Yo,
problem to revisit a business plan?
that's listen. What I've learned in this space, Miss D, is before you can apply those rules, there is a set of rules before that you have
Mhm,
to adhere to for at least a 30-day period of time before those rules on that list even mean anything to you. So
mhm,
you personally, you're in a mindset where you're open to receive that type of information, so you took it for what it was. But you can
mhm.
probably have somebody reading it, and they're like, what the fuck is this? Why,
Right.
what is this about,
Yeah.
so yes, tools, resources, knowing, the knowledge of knowing. And you said before, this is your podcast, you're doing this for you, all the benefits are reaped for you, right?
Mhm,
When I started posting, and I started, the numbers started getting higher of these workshops, were on 23rd week of Monday night calls to week 27. I'm like, 27 weeks consistent of a workshop. That is some crazy shit. For me to deliver a message to you 27 Mondays every night with no disappointment, whether one person showed up or 10 people showed up, that is insane. So when people started not reciprocating it, you know, you start to feel some type of way.
let
So,
me say something, because I'm gonna shout her out here.
mhm,
Melanie Santos, I've had her on this podcast before. Okay.
okay,
She has a community, and I joined her community. Okay. And there's times I can make those meetings and there's times I can't. And when I first joined her community, very spiritual healing, very spiritual. And let me tell you, when I'm able to make it to those meetings, the way it's aligned and it's at the perfect time. Ooh, child. But let me say this, when I first joined her community, I'm gonna put that shit out there. Her fee for the membership was $11.11. Eleven
okay,
eleven. Okay. I joined. Okay. And then I remember she's been doing this for years. Shout out to Melanie Santos. I have an episode of her. Okay. And I hope you guys have tuned in. And if you're new here, go find that episode and listen to it. It's fire as fuck. But I remember seeing her throughout the course of the year that I've been following her. And let me say this, I've been following her even on my personal page before I started this podcast. We happened to know each other through friends. Okay. I remember when she decided to up the price to her membership. And it wasn't even that much, y'all. It really wasn't. It really was not. But one thing she can guarantee is that there's going to be a message delivered, is that you're going to get something out of this, and you will build a community, and you will have that. And I have been able to build certain connections from that community. I've been able to have a friendship out of that community. I've been able to really feel like I am healing through that community. Okay? Whether it's every single week or it's been once a month, I know that every penny that goes into that membership guarantees me a lot more.
a transformation.
Okay. It guarantees me a lot more than what is just that transaction every
Yep.
single month. And if we can sit here, and Shavana's not gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it, and I don't know who it was, but shame on y'all, okay? Because 27 weeks, if it's a long term time, okay? And to be able to come to a space And not even out of your kindness to say, well, why don't we just start creating like a money pot, where we could just contribute to it, because look at the space we're all holding here. Shame on y'all. And I'm gonna say shame because time is money. And when
Yo.
people are giving you their time at a moment in life where we barely have time for ourselves, how dare you not be willing to recognize the time that someone is choosing to give you?
Mhm.
The time that someone has decided to take away from their spouse, from their children, from time with themselves to give back to you, to a community. Granted, you wanted to create this, but there should be no problem in being able to fund that time and to be able to continue to amplify,
Mhm.
excuse me, that space. So I needed to just throw that shit out there.
Thank you, because
I
sometimes
needed
I
to
be
say
needing
it.
to hear that shit too. But thank God for Sally, okay, that she gives what I give. So I lead and she leads right back, okay? So it's amazing what we've cultivated together too, and it's because of her too that I said, "You know what? We're going to just keep doing this. We're going to do this and we're going to just keep it was literally who I was. I was
Right,
delivering. I wasn't asking for much, but every time I presented the idea, it was the way the tones changed, the body language changed, the demeanor changed. So much changed. It's like, okay, let's just put this aside because you're also enjoying the process too, right? And I'm super naive, okay? Like I'm don't want to admit it, but I'm super naive. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt that they're a good human being, and I get shitted on most of the time because 90% of people are shitty people. Okay. Okay? Like, it's really hard to come across good, decent, authentic people these days, but they do still exist and it still does happen. But thank God for Sally that she's been able to be a rock for me in this in that troubling time where I didn't know, was I making the right decision to go back into this? Am I not, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I being an idiot trying to
the
do the same
questioning.
thing over and over again? Like, like like you said, it's not self-doubt. I'm trying to ask myself the right questions because I need to move ahead in the right direction. I'm not trying to, do that again because what are we making? U-turns or something? Like, so
Oh, what are we making U-turns? No. First of all, when I was practicing for the driving test, my U-turns were not it. My parking was. And when I went for the driving test, my parking sucked. But that U-turn was fire. It was fire. So I just want to put that shit out there, okay?
no.
Now, listen, I'm here for this, and the reason why I just gave Melanie as an example is because the truth is, people like yourselves, when you're putting the time in to others, it's not that it should have a price,
No.
but at some point when you've done it out of your kindness, it's also not healthy to not see something come back to you full
Yeah,
circle.
and
It's
like
not healthy.
and I was helping people build small businesses, okay? The confidence they were building in this space, 80% of the group chat ended up opening a small business. So how can you now take what you're learning, go create an income, but no gratitude or payment to where you absorb this information? So that is what I meant when I said people have to learn the steps that come before the success. Meaning you have to understand that mentorship doesn't have to be free.
Mm.
Okay? It doesn't
Mm.
have to be free. We don't have to be I don't have to be like a Girl Scout and be your big sister. No. That's not how this works. If you want to learn from my expert of experiences,
Hello.
yes, you're gonna have to pay for it because I done been through some shit to get those experiences. So why should I just give you the blueprint to just walk the easy path? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the same thing
So there's
when
a
you're negotiating your salary, by the way. Please know your worth and know not to
yo.
just give shit out for free. Understand. And I'm sure Shavana could agree with this. When you're paying for a member, Okay, let's not even go with Shavana, right? I'm gonna give you a perfect example one more time with Melanie. Okay, Melanie will say, "Okay, this is just gonna be a 1 hour session." Shout out to Melanie. Okay, and here I am. I'm paying the 11.11. Anybody who was gonna join after a certain day would pay the higher price, and it wasn't even that high, ladies and gentlemen. The ones who were already there, we were kind of like grandfathered in. Okay, cool. She would say, "Okay, today's session, I just really want to keep it under an hour, guys, because it's been a long day. This and the third." The hour comes around, and here's what our girl says. Ready? All right, well, you know what? This is a really good conversation. Let's just go another 15 minutes, guys. Here's this person who just said her goal is to keep it to a certain time frame because she's still balancing wanting to go put her child to bed, wanting to do this, wanting to do that, needing to do this, needing her time. But she's giving it to us as an extra time because the conversation is just so good, because it's so healing in that moment. And because in that moment, she realizes we need it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of the time, most of the time, through mentoring, through coaching, you can schedule a call, you could schedule a meeting for what it is, but a lot of the time it does go over. And a lot of the time, the outreach and the access, one more person I'll shout out, Naomi, my food and health coach. One of the things she incorporates, and shout out to her because some of y'all do be charging too little, okay? One of the things in her coaching, she says it, you have full access to me, and she has her clients on WhatsApp, and you have full access. Like, still to this day, I may have a question, and I will still, and that's my friend. She's my friend. But when it comes to questions of what her expertise is, I still say, I have a question about something. Do you have a moment? Because I just shouldn't expect it, because time is money, and we cannot just expect people to just give it to us. You get what
That
I'm saying?
that's another hard one. What you just said there too. It's hard to be in a space with someone who's recognizing you as a friend or whatever, for them to give you the respect of you being an expert in a certain category. Because guess what? They think they're the expert. Even though they need help, they think they're the expert. And it's hard for them to say, yo, I know you can do this shit. Like, tell me how to do it. No, they will wrap that into some other thing, and instead of just being so direct and asking the direct questions. So that was another thing that I used to really hone into in the group chats, was teaching people how to ask the right questions, because for me that has helped me a lot in my career and getting into places that I probably didn't belong, but it was because I asked the question and they were like, "Oh, maybe she knows what she's talking about." But it was just because the question sounded so educated, it sounded so involved, so that they're like, "Oh, we need her at in this conversation
You know why? Because your confidence drove you to show interest. It drove you to want to know more.
more."
People see that. People acknowledge that. When you see somebody has that level of ambition and that much drive, you want to pour into them. You want to give an opportunity.
Mhm.
What is it? Closed mouths don't get fed, right?
Closed mouths don't get fed. Never.
Closed mouths don't get fed. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. I want to go into the last segment,
Yes, let's do
the
it.
overdose. And in the overdose, we usually highlight something you are completely overjoyed with or completely over it. And it could be about anything. It doesn't have to be about anything we spoke about today. It could be anything about your life or anything you just saw, I don't know, witnessed. It
So
could be both things, or it could
actually,
just be one thing.
so I'm actually over the woman communities, okay? Like, I think there's no, I don't, okay, I think it's becoming like Christmas. Okay, you know how like Christmas, like all commercialized, you forget that it's the birth of Jesus Christ and all those things. It's about Santa Claus, and I think this is where community is going. Nobody understands anymore what community is. Nobody understands anymore what empowerment is, what motivation is, what inspiration. These words are becoming so normalized, something that was so foreign to us. Okay, so I'm over it. Okay, I'm so like, get into say get into small spaces, okay, get into them, they're worth it. If it's charging you a fee, it's worth it. Private access to people's brain is worth it, okay? So I am so over the video of the lion with the motivational quote that's supposed to empower you. Yes, it's going to empower you, but it's never going to teach you what you need to know to incorporate that lifestyle.
Right. I definitely have to say that I get it. I get what you're saying because you don't, and I'm even intentional now when I meet people, women
Mm,
specifically, because I've encountered those bad instances where I thought there was friends in women too, and it wasn't. And one of the greatest regrets I have is that I allowed them in my home. And so I'm very intentional now. And I have to
right.
say, where I am right now, the people, the women that are around me, it's not just a word and it's not just a trend. They're very intentional, equally
Yes.
intentional with what they want to serve.
Right.
And those women know who they are, and if they're listening, shout out to them, because it really feels great to be around them. It like genuinely here from
Yes.
within. It feels great to be around them, and I get what you're saying. It's
Yes.
real easy to just do a post and be so empowering. How about it's where you guys are being present together, you know? And I will second that for sure. I want to share something that I am completely over it.
Oh, tell
um
me.
it's gonna be silly for some of y'all,
Let's hear it.
but I need to get this off my chest. I'm completely over people who own bodega, but let me tell you why.
I
Shout
need
out
to
to
hear this because
all.
I love me a bodega.
Me too. I adore them. It's the ones that make coffee just to make it and don't make it with love.
Oh,
Okay.
mm,
So I recently found out my bodega owner has gone away on a very lengthy vacation. He didn't tell nobody nothing. Okay.
how dare him?
How dare you? I show up one day and I see this new person. I'm like, who the fuck is this? So I'm like, did he sell this bodega? Because it's like that's a problem. No, it's his cousin. His cousin is here in town. Um, my man don't know how to make the coffee. And when I ask for my coffee, he don't listen. He just don't pay attention. And it's, as silly as this may sound, right?
Mm,
For some people, it's that part of the day that just really makes the day. You know, it's that part of the day that all you want to do is go show up, order your coffee, and keep it moving and just go on your merry way, right?
yup.
And why I'm bringing this to light is because I am over in the spirit of what we've been talking about. People who do things just for the money and not because they really want to or because they're really passionate about it. Because let me tell you something. There are some bodega owners who will make sure that sandwich they give you that you just paid for is thick as fuck and it tastes delicious. That coffee is freshly made. Everything looks clean.
Yup.
Whatever you need, I got you. But that goes to show you the spirit of someone who owns something, who owns it with pride, or who works on something and who works on it with pride. And that goes to show you somebody who is serious and passionate about what is theirs. And that's where, for me, it's like, damn, my bodega owner trusted his cousin to continue the business. But I just feel it's like hectic in there. Things are a mess. I can't get my coffee the way I fucking like it.
Right.
Like, it's little things like that that you really just observe it and you see it. Because
Right.
I wouldn't want my bodega owner to like not have business. I wouldn't want that, right? Because
Right.
somebody who's supposed to be covering for them just don't know how to do the job right. But it just goes to show you, and it made me think about it even deeper. It made me think about it on a bigger perspective, right? And I just said to myself, like, I don't care if you're the person who's mopping the floor. I don't care if you're the person who's signing the checks. I don't care what your role is. The truth is, when you focus too much on just collecting the money, but not really finding your passion or not really seeing, damn, do I like what I do? And don't give me the bullshit of, well, who likes to clean bathrooms? Listen, there are people who will wait on you in a restroom at a restaurant, and that is their proudest moment.
Yo.
Because sometimes it's the person in the bathroom who is ready to give you that paper towel. And guess what? I just needed a good fucking 3-minute cry in that bathroom. But that person was there for me with that paper towel to help me in that moment. Okay.
Tell me about it.
I say this to say whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you own, whatever it is that you involve yourself in, just do it with a little bit of love, because once you allow it to take over your life, and the only reason why you do it is just for the money, you're going to hate it.
Yep.
You're not going to do it right. You're not going to care about nobody but the money, not even yourself.
Let me tell you a secret life hack. And like my husband, we just had this conversation on the car ride home today. Instead of telling yourself you want to be rich, tell yourself you want to be successful, and you will see how fast you will be rich. Because in order to be successful, you have to be really good at something. And if you're really good at something, chances are you know how to get paid to do that thing really good. So
Yes.
if you tell yourself to be successful instead of rich, you will probably be successful and rich. But most people just want to be rich. So they're not chasing the money the right way. That's why easy money is so nice to some people, but it doesn't last. If you get easy money, you don't know how to invest it, you don't know how to do all those things, so it disappears.
I'm amen to that. Yeah, and on that note, guys, that is a word from true richness. What was that again? Rich girl rising? Yeah, that's what that was. I just thought we should throw that in there. Um on that note, Shavana, I want to thank you for coming on this platform
Yes,
on my
this was
show
awesome.
to keep it all the way raw. Because listen, there's always a little something to learn here with a lot of my guests, but ever so often, I do think that it's nice to tap into these type of conversations too. And it's purposeful when you have the right people to come on
Yes,
the mic to have that discussion with you. um and so I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you opening up and being so transparent.
thank you.
And I
Thank
would
you
like for
for
you to
giving me the
tell,
space.
absolutely, thank you, I would like for you to tell my listeners where they could follow you and find you and support you.
Okay, so on almost every single social media. So I'm on TikTok and Instagram the most, and it's at Shorty Cash. Pretty much SHORTY Cash, right?
Hey.
And I'm active on Pinterest too. And I'm trying to start up back my writing. So I am getting into blogs. So look out for that. But the best place to find me is on Instagram. Okay. And lots coming. Thank you, Miss D, for inviting me onto your show. This was an amazing conversation. I got some homework to go do because I got to go check out who Melanie Santos is now.
You do. Please check
Yes,
her out. It's
yes.
amazing. You don't know what a community could do for you. You really
Right.
don't.
And
Um
to touch on that, in my step back from cultivating communities, that's sort of where I've put myself. I've been entering communities and being just a participant now and not the leader, and learning more about what happens. How are these leaders handling these spaces without it blowing up and falling apart? So always a student here, guys. I'm always willing to learn from others, always willing to collaborate, network, all those good things. So yeah, hit me up, Shorty Cash on the gram.
Hey, and as always, guys, this has been another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Miss D, and you guys will tune in next week.
Don't
Bye.
forget to follow us on
Bye.
Instagram and Twitter. And we are live on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Make sure to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe, rate, and review. Talk to you later. Bye.